what happened because it seems like my feed got tanked, and I don't understand why. So let's we just read 6 and 7, Genesis 6 and 7. Now we're on Genesis 8. The rains have just happened. The world was just flooded by God trying to killing everyone, leaving only Noah and the animals on his boat. And the funny thing is, so all of 7, Genesis 7 is literally, how many verses is it? Genesis 7 is 24 verses. And they basically repeat the same thing over and over again, that it started raining, rained really hard. All the animals came in 2 by 2. Every single creature that existed on the earth came in 2 by 2. And God made everyone else die with the rain that was super deep. Like, that's it. But they say the same thing over and over again. It's redundant as hell. They repeat themselves over and over again. It's like you should get the point. So they just keep saying it and keep saying it and just keep repeating themselves unnecessarily, redundantly repeating themselves at nauseum, just keep saying the same thing over and over again. And you're like, I got the point. Why do you keep repeating yourself? But they just keep repeating and repeating and just saying the same things over and over. Get it? It's fucking irritating. Genesis 8. And God remembered Noah. Oh, yeah. Kind of hard not to. I mean, God was like really, really, a fixture in the earth back then. God used to come down and hang out all the time, I guess. God remembered Noah. I don't know how he could forget. It's pretty much, if Noah dies, then everything else. Like, if the ship capsizes and all the fucking animals, and that's it. It's got to start over again. And God remembered Noah. That's how it starts. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. All the cattle. All the goyim? You think he meant that used to say all the goyim? The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. Kind of weird, like you're giving us different time frames here. So 150 days. So that would mean like 5 months earlier. So this all started in the 5th month, 4th month. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark, which he had made. He hadn't opened the window. Can you imagine how bad that place fucking stank? I mean, first of all, the boat is smaller than your average cruise ship. Not and your super cruise ships by a ton. But every single animal existed that existed, and every bug, every creeping, everything is on one of 3 levels. And the clean things, there are actually 7 of everything. And there are 7 of every bird. There's one window at the top of this giant boat. And there are these 3 levels. So it had to be pitch black inside the boat. And I don't know where Noah kept the food to be able to feed all of these fucking animals, especially the animals that only eat meat. Where he kept all this food that didn't go bad for 150 days, 40 days. I'm not even really sure. Because it's giving us multiple time frames here. After the end of 150 days, the waters were abided, and the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. Oh, I skipped that one, sorry. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month, so that's 3 more months. So it rained for 40 days, 40 nights. Okay, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Then it took 150 days for the waters to subside. And after this, they abated, subsided a little bit. The ark rested on a mountain in the 7th month. And then 3 months later, and then the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. So there still wasn't, you could only see the tops of the mountains, which I guess they had to be on one. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened up the window of the ark which he had made. So is this another 40 days on top of that 3 months and 150 days and then 40 days of rain? Like what's happening here? And again, think about this. They finally opened the window. Can you imagine how bad that shit stank? Where were they keeping all the shit? How were they cleaning all the shit up? It was pitch black. You know? I mean, what did they do? If they didn't open up the window until now, what'd they do with all the shit? How did they get rid of it? These are like simple questions that you can apply to every narrative you're given. You know, there's the horseshit crisis in New York of the 1880s. Like, New York was the only place that was using horses. And they estimate that it would take around 275 of today's garbage trucks every single day to remove the amount of shit these horses would produce. They would drink between 10 and 15 gallons of water every day. Hundreds of thousands, thousands and thousands of horses had to be in use in every city back then. And the roads were just covered in shit. Covered in dead fucking horses, too, because when the horse would die, they would just shoot it, supposedly, and let it die on the side of the road, leave it there. So how did they clean up the shit in the boat? There was only one window at the very top. And you would think they would have opened that window, man. That smell had to be atrocious. But I guess it was after all this time, after what I could only assume is like almost 300 days. Again, can't really tell. Finally opened the window. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. He trained a raven like this? What the fuck? Also, he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the earth. He can't look and see what he needs to see from the boat. Why would you need a dove to go flying off? I don't understand that reference. He's literally, the boat has stopped moving. It's stuck on a mountain or something. The tops of the mountains have been seen. Can't you just look out of your fucking window? I mean, you'd think as soon as the boat touched ground, they'd have been happy to jump the fuck off and been like, oh man, I can stretch. I can, get rid of some of this shit. But apparently not. He sent forth a dove to see if the waters were abated from the face of the ground, but the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot. And she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand, and took her, and pulled her in unto him into the ark. That important detail is that he pulled the dove back in. Again, really well-trained dove. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf. Pluck it off. So Noah knew the waters were abated from off the earth. So all of the trees had just grown back. If they'd been underwater for a couple 100 days now, I can't imagine there were any leaves still left over. Am I the only one who thinks this is fucking ridiculous? And it's embarrassing to think that adults actually believe this story to be true. I think when it comes to Christianity, most Christians don't actually know their stories. They know like a Cliff's Note version of some shit. Maybe the pastor, preacher mentions a verse from Noah or some shit every few sermons or some shit like that. But they don't actually know what this shit says. Because if they knew it, if they read it, and they thought about it, how can anybody think this makes any sense? Noah's just the dove trainer, huh? Again, what did they do with all the shit? And he stayed yet another 7 days. So he knew the waters were gone. This is kind of like how the Pilgrims crashed in Cape Cod in early November, but didn't actually set off into the ground to do their first expedition until December 20th. How the fuck does that make any sense? They just stayed on board after they'd been on board for 2 months on a journey that was supposed to take a month, but they got blown off course. So then instead of going and exploring the land they were coming to see, they stayed on board for an additional month and a half. Are you paying attention to this? Are you paying attention to how goofy these ChatGPT narratives are over and over again? This is where I wish my lunch break would have a discussion with me about it. Because I really like that dude and what he does and the work that he does, and I really think he's on point. But I think he seems to have a touch of Christianity. It seems like he was raised Christian. And he can't just put it down. He can't just say, this is goofy, awful Christian nonsense. None of it's true. I think he still thinks parts of it are true. 666 and shit. Sorry. Had to eat some body of the Christ. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him anymore. So, hopefully that other dove, the female dove, oh no, there's 7. Remember, there were 7 birds. And I would assume after a few hundred days, there's probably more. And how does he know that the bird didn't die? What if the bird was like, had a heart attack or some shit? Seems just weird, right? Okay. And it came to pass in the 601st year. It came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. The covering of the ark. What was the covering of the ark? Was it under a giant tarp or something? And how did they not know? How did they not know that the ground, they had run aground, right? The boat was on the ground. Can you imagine how bad those animals wanted to get the fuck out of there? And Noah was like, no, not yet. I mean, really crazy how it worked out. That it was on the first day, first month, that worked out well. And in the second month, a whole 30 days later, I guess, 37 days, on the 7th and 12th day of the month, was the earth dried. What? And in the second month, on the 7th and 12th day of the month, was the earth dried. What the fuck does that mean? Was it wet again on day 8, 9, 10, 11? Oh, I'm sorry, and the 20th day. Sorry, the 7th and 20th. Oh, is that the 27th day? Okay, now I get it. My bad, I wasn't reading it correctly. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. So if that was what was going to happen, why was he doing the whole dove thing? If it was just God was going to say, all right, now it's time to go. It seems like a waste of time, waste of doves. Don't leave me alone. I love everything people say. Anytime somebody doesn't address what I'm saying and just says something stupid, they're telling me I'm right. They're just not smart enough. They're telling you, the watcher, that I'm right. They're just not smart enough, so they want to say something, so they'll say something stupid. But I appreciate everything said. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. This is literally my favorite part of the story, because this is the part that just gets overlooked all the time. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. Again, we don't need to know their fucking names. Only the men. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. So after they were captured and kept for such a long time, they were then killed and sacrificed to the God that he just did all this bullshit for. They had a big ass barbecue. Noah builded an altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time, one word, and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. God speaks like he is mentally handicapped. You weren't here for that video, dum-dum. And God, this is Genesis 9. So I always wonder, like, so now the lions are set free. And they've been cooped up for 300 some days. It's been pitch black. I have no idea what they've been eating, but there's got to be shit just everywhere, all in their fur. And yet they have to make their way to Africa, along with the gazelle and everything else that they eat. And once they finally get where they're going, how long do they wait before they start feeding themselves by killing these other creatures that, are needed to repopulate the earth? Like, how does that even work? Shouldn't, once the spell wears off and they get back to Africa, the lions pretty much fuck it up for everything else and kill everything? Isn't that how that would work? But even more so, you have Arabic, probably J. Noah, right? His 600-year-old ass, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives. And somehow, some way, these 6, 8 people repopulate the entire planet with black people, with Native Americans, with Eskimos, with Asians. How did they do that? Or did they just happen to have 2 Native American looking babies and they were like, ooh, these don't look like us. Let's put them on a boat and ship them off to the west. And hopefully, hopefully they hit some land somewhere and can repopulate it. Man, that'd be great. We don't even know. We're just hoping. Oh, here's some dark ones. We're going to take those. They're not quite black, though. So we'll take these over to India. And we'll have those repopulate there. How the fuck were they making all the different colors of the world? Say I was an omnipotent J. What's preventing me from pointing my directed energy satellite weapons at your precise GPS location? Nothing. Exposure? I don't know. I think I'm valuable, and as long as they keep a lid on me, I'm valuable. They can keep they have someone like me that's sitting here telling them everything they're doing wrong. I can tell you that during COVID, it was pretty clear that they were watching my feed. Because, like when they had that initially they had that one ship that was docked. And kept asking all these questions, like, where are they getting their medications from? How come none of these people on this ship are making videos and doing conferences? And where are all these? At first, it was 3,500 people. And then when it was time to evacuate, somehow it was down to 1,000 or 2,500 people. But I remember like pointing this kind of shit out. And then days later, Ann Actor, was now the spokesperson for the cruise ship. And she'd be answering dumb questions and shit like that. Like, you know. And then the next day, you know, she'd say some shit and I'd say something. And then the next day, something else would happen. And it would be, you know, they would try to cover that narrative because, you know, I tell them all the things that they might need to work on. I'm actually a pretty valuable thing for them. You know, I keep them ahead of the schedule. But you never know. You never fucking know. If that does happen, well, you know why. Or what's to stop them having a plane crash into my house? That one's even more likely. Because my house happens to be right in the flight path. So any old plane could just crash into my house. And plus, you know, I think on the highest levels, it's entertaining, right? Someone like me actually figured all this shit out and is literally begging the world to pay attention and pointing out all of these obvious things and everything. And you know, it's not working. You know, that's pretty funny to these arrogant pieces of shit. At the end of the day, the why is unknown, and to not go forward in anything because you don't know the why, well, that's foolish. You know, you got to either figure it out or just keep going till the why is in front of you and you can see what it is. I've said it before, though. You know, they come at me with a $20 million, some bullshit. Tell me to shut the fuck up. You guys would never see me again. Fuck that. You know, I'm sick of fighting for people that don't want to be fought for. It's definitely interesting, I'll tell you that. But to allow my family to have the life that they live and all that, I would absolutely give this up. If I could buy the security I needed, I mean, I'd feel bad. My biggest issue would be all the child rape. I still don't know how I would get over that one. But a lot of the other shit is like self-imposed. Like all you idiots, you Christians out there, this is as available to you as it is to me. You could easily be looking this stuff up just like I do. You choose not to because you don't want to. And you stay blind because you selfishly want the scam. You know, it's just like the old people that supposedly get scammed because they invested with, you know, fly-by-night company that promised them, you know, 10 times the return that the average company, that the best of the best company offers. Well, these guys are offering 10 times the return. You just have to invest in them, blah, blah, blah. You're trying to scam the system. If the standard return is 2%, and you figure out a way to get 10 times, whatever, 20%, then you're trying to scam something. You're just hoping your scam works out. And when it blows up in your face and you're like, oh, I had no idea. You fucking knew. It's the same thing as this bullshit religious stuff. All those times you claim God answered your prayers. Well, how about those times God didn't answer? I bet you all the times God answered your prayers, it's probably pretty easily explainable in real life. And then again, if you compare it to all those times it didn't, well, it's probably pretty drastic. Anyway, we're on 9. God spake to Noah, cattle, and I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. The rainbows. I thought this had to do with Abraham, because I think this same story has to do with Abraham. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, and that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. Excuse me, because if he didn't set that reminder every once in a while, he'd be like, fucking kill him! And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Hasn't he said this like 28 times? And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread, repopulated. All of the different people came from these guys. Noah didn't even do it. And Noah began to be a husbandman, one word, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine, and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. So he sat around naked drinking wine all day. PTSD like a motherfucker from surviving the genocide, and everyone he ever knew and loved was killed. Fucking asshole. Asshole! Asshole guy, kill everybody. Why not me? Why did I live? Why did I live? Alex P. Keaton. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. Right, because, you remember what happened to Adam and Eve? When God saw their nakedness, he flipped out. So I would imagine Noah, after being in that boat and shit, or his kids after being in that fucking boat the whole time, they saw their daddy's junk. They'd be like, you go crazy. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. Covered him up with a blanket because he was naked. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. What an asshole. He woke up in a drunken stupor like, cover me with a blanket? Oh, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Hey, your grandson is my grandson. I say your grandson. My grandson is now your servant. Sound good, right? All right, cool. God shall enlarge Japheth. Hell yeah. Boom, boom, boom. And he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. What a horrible existence. And Noah lived after the flood 300 years, 350 years. A ripe old age of 950. I mean, you realize if you just took the zero off, it would make all the sense. Oh, he lived to be about 95? Oh, yeah, okay. But because the Bible needs to make it all special, and all of the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Genesis 10. This is good stuff, isn't it? Now, these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were the sons born after the flood. So Noah had more kids. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshish, and Taras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Ripheth, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elijah, blah, 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 blah. Elijah, and Tarish, Kittim, and Dadanium. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families in their nations. So, are we saying that, like, what are we saying here? How did we go from Jays to Gentiles? And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabath, and Ramah, and Sebtekah. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Dedan. What's up, Dedan? And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord. What? And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Asad, and Elneh, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Assur, and builded Neviah, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah. They knew how to build cities back then. This was just some inherent wisdom you were just born with. And Rezin, between Neviah and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim began Ludim, and Anim, and Anamim, Ludim, and Ananim, and Lebahim, and Nephahutim, and Pathrazim, and Casulim, out of whom came Philistim, and Caporthium. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivitite, and the Archetype, and the Sinite. And the Avradite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar unto Gaza. Gaza is the only place I recognize. How about y'all? As thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. What do you hope by coming here? What do I hope? I hope to ensnare dumbasses who want to cry. Gotcha, bitch. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Why do they all speak different languages? Aren't they all from the same family? Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. No shit. Even him? I thought he was Jay. The children of Shem, Elam, and Assur, and Araphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gither, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Oh yeah, that makes sense. You name your kid Peleg because the earth is divided. Not as dented as your dumb head, Jackson. And Joktan began Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazramaveth, and Jerah, and Hadoram, and Uzel, and Dikla, and Obal, and Abimal, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havaliah, and Jobab. All of these were sons of Joktan. And their dwelling was from Mesha, as thou goest unto Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. Makes so much fucking sense. Genesis 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. So then what the fuck was the whole of their tongues and all that shit about? And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Who? Who are we talking about? Anti-psychotics, right. Reading the Bible makes you psychotic, I guess. Oh shit, what's going on here? Alright, there we go. Damn, that sucks. Sorry. Sorry, just answering the message. All right. Okay. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Wait. Oh. And this Genesis 9. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fleshes of the sea, all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered, and they shall live in fear of you. Boy, I love that. Oh, look, the chainsaw person is flying the pedophile flag. Fly that pedo flag. Let everybody know who you are, you disgusting pedo. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. Oh, so now you can eat meat. See? Now we know. Now God says eat the dead animals. I guess. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. What? What? And surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. At the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. Are you saying we need to cut ourselves? Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. So, if you kill somebody, then you should be killed. But then, if those people that killed you, does that mean they should be killed because they just killed somebody? How does that work? And then I guess it just keeps going, right? It just keeps repeating. That's kind of a weird little hiccup in the story, hiccup in the narrative. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, all that go out of the ark, and every beast of the earth. Right, we get it, dude. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there be any more flood to destroy the earth. Didn't we already do this? I feel like I'm reading something I've already read, but I'm not. This is just a repeat. And God said, this is the token of the covenant I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, and I will remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all the flesh upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, did this go? This must have went backwards. No, this went backwards. I'm reading something that I shouldn't be reading. Yep, I went backwards on accident. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, yeah, okay. And the whole earth, how did we go backwards? That's weird. Why did that happen? We're back to 11, as we should be. It said, spoke one language. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. Wait. And the whole earth was of one language and one speak, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. Wow, that's amazing. They just made bricks out of whatever, and they used slime for the mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. He just came down. He has a little elevator and shit. Ding. And he's like, got his hands in his pockets, walking around. What's going on here, fellas? What you got going on? You building a tower, are you? Where's the tower supposed to go to? That's pretty high. I bet you get a nosebleed. It's very dry up there. Make sure you take some moisturizer for your hands. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, us again, God and his fucking pronouns. Seriously, what's up with that? Why is God always referring to itself as us and our? What kind of pronoun shit is that? I'm supposed to remember all these fucking pronouns? Wah! Wah! I'm supposed to remember pronouns. Wah! Let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So God saw us all working together to build the great Tower of Babel to try to reach the fucking dome and see what's on the other side. And God was like, that's not good. They're working too well together. Let's make this shit hard. Why does anybody worship this motherfucker? He is an asshole. They are an asshole. So the Lord scattered them abroad from hence upon the face of all earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Yeah, we just said that. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Aphrax 2 years after the flood. I thought we were only allowed to be 120 at this point. Or is this... Does the 120 only exist after that? I don't know. And Shem lived after he begat Aphrax 500 years and begat sons and daughters. So, wait, I thought we were only supposed to live 120 years at this point. Interesting. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begat Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Salah 403 years and begat sons and daughters. We're back to doing this shit again. And Salah lived after he begat Ebar 403 years and lived 430 years. Begat Ebar, begat Peleg 400 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. Which is weird. Like, what's going on here? And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years, begat Nahor. Nahor lived after that 200 years, begat sons and daughters. Nahor lived 9 and 20 years and begat Terah. And he lived 119 years. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nohar, and Haran. Wow, he's the first one to beget multiple children in the same year. Were they triplets? At 70 years old, he's popping out triplets. Now, these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nohar, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. Oh, we're getting to Lot. Lot is important. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Noah took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. That's the first one we get. Or Sarai. And the name of Nohar's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no children. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, and son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan, and they came into Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. In Haran, I mean. This is just such stupid shit. This is just such stupid shit. It's so embarrassing that so many people believe in this. Genesis 12. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will shew thee. Man, God is just in there. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed, as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. No wonder they lived with their moms for such a long time. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Oh, Jesus. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed I will give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east side of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on his west and Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. It's like a telephone or something. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land. And Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. Well, who the fuck were these people? I don't remember any of Noah's children being sent to Egypt yet. So where did all these Egyptians come from? And it came to pass when he was come near to Egypt to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai, his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Oh, because she's pretty? It makes sense. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well for me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. So now there's Egyptians. Where did the Egyptians come from? Did I miss a chapter here? The princes also of Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses, and manservants, and maidservants, and she asses, and camels. That's got to be the best sentence I've ever said in my life. And he entered Abram well for her sake. Or he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses, and manservants, and maidservants, and she asses, and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So wait. They went into this place. Abram said, pretend you're my sister. So they did it. And in so doing, they treated Abram and her very well, giving him all sorts of she asses and he asses, servants and all kinds of shit, maid servants, man servants. And because of this, God was like, fuck you. What? And the Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me she was thy wife? Why saidst now, not saith, why saidst thou, she is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her, and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, And they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. What the fuck is wrong with Christians? My God. Yeah, we're doing Bible study. I'm going to read the whole thing and see what happens. I mean, it's so fucking bad. It's just so bad. It would be one thing if I was reading this going, wow, you know what? Ugh. Like, this makes a lot of... Like, what happened when I watched, you know, the flat earth stuff, where I was immediately like, oh, fuck, I think I'm wrong here. Oh, no, and this makes sense, and blah, blah, blah. Instead, I'm reading this and just wondering how anyone ever fell for it to begin with. We had to be pretty fucking stupid to fall for this to begin with. And it's just, it's amazing, right? It's amazing how stupid people are. Look at these dumb comments. Look at it. Look at how stupid these clowns are that have to say something, but they can't say anything of merit, so they just start making up their own narratives and shit. So strange. Complaining about what I'm doing with my life while you're watching me. So, as miserable and horrible as my life is, yours has to be worse if you're just going to sit there and watch and complain and cry. I mean, I get, like, you feel stupid. I get that. But it's just so fucking weird, man. What? Why? Who? Do you think I give a shit? Like, are you really that stupid? Are you really dumb enough to commit crimes, to do as the plan is? That if somebody disrespects me, nobody can ever disrespect you. The only way somebody disrespects you is if you allow them to. But they need to fill the prisons. That's big business. So you're going to commit crime, potentially, you know, you could potentially hurt somebody, you know, permanently, severely. You could potentially kill someone. You never know. You hit somebody, they fall out, their head smacks the concrete, they fucking die. Shit happens. All because somebody, quote, disrespected you? Are you kidding me? You don't know what the fuck's going on. You know, I know there's a lot of tiny dick J's on here mad because I'm telling the truth. And I throw that tiny dick thing in there because it really does affect things. Ask any female you know. Do the dudes with the bigger dicks, the white dudes with the bigger dicks, are those the more tolerant guys that you've been with? And they'll say, hell yeah. White dudes with big dicks, they don't give a fuck. They're cool. And we know these Jays don't have it. If they did, then guys like Ron Jeremy wouldn't be the main porn star that you can think of. He's a Jay, by the way. You're violent, he's not. Yeah, but who gives a shit? Like, the only way somebody can offend you is if what they're saying is true. If I run up to you and I'm like, you're 22 feet tall. You have spaghetti sauce on your head and octopus arms and, you know, you can breathe fire. You're going to be like, oh, okay, weirdo. See you later, dude. But if I run up to you and I go, you are a white guy with a tiny dick, you're going to be like, what, dude? What the fuck? What's up? What? Basically admitting you have a tiny dick and you're upset about it. You know, if I walk up to somebody and I'm like, hey, listen, I really want to help you. It looks like you have a hard time controlling your eating habits and you're big and fat and you shouldn't be. That's really bad. I really want to help you. Is there anything I can do to help you? I guarantee I wouldn't even have been able to get that whole sentence out because that person would have attacked me physically. They would have committed a crime because I was like, hey, you know you're fat and I want to help you. The only time people get offended is when what you're saying is true. And they're bothered by it. Like I said, I know what's happening, right? It's called ad hominem. And it's what Trump is famous for, right? When they were doing the debate with Biden and they were like, all right, Mr. Trump, what are you planning on doing about the fentanyl epidemic? And he was like, well, Biden. And they were like, yeah, but what about the fentanyl epidemic? And he was like, Biden. And they were like, Mr. Trump, we understand that you don't like Biden, but what about the fentanyl epidemic? And he was like, oh, yeah, Biden. It's because he can't say anything about the fentanyl epidemic. His buddies are making way too much money with that thing. So he attacks something else. And every time I'm doing this, and there are people on here talking about anything other than what I'm talking about, I'm going against the grain, man. I'm the one that's going against the narrative. So you should have plenty to say. I'm speaking out against what more than likely you believe. You should have plenty to say. You have a whole Google's worth of information to back up your side, supposedly. Anytime you're saying anything other than what I'm saying, you're admitting I'm right. And you're either I'm right or you're just not smart enough. Anything else than oh, dude, you're wrong about this because of this, and you're wrong about blah, blah. Other than that, it's just childish, goofy nonsense. This is MK Ultra shit, man. This is what's been done to black people more than anyone else, right? Because black people have been convinced that it's almost like a duty. It's their job. They're not the right, they're not black enough. They're not good enough if they don't start fights and commit crime if someone says one word. Now, if you say nigga and you're the right color, it's okay. But you throw that hard R on there, nigger, and it's like, it's crazy because that word doesn't mean black people. That word means ignorant. You could call white people that. But as soon as you say that, it's like people have been programmed to, the identification of that word with only black people is how you know you're programmed racist and you don't even realize it. Right? When you think that black people are allowed to say it because they're black, but you're not because you're white, that's your racism coming through. You just don't realize it. But when you look up what MK Ultra is, and the basic premise is that you get a phone call, somebody utters a phrase that you wouldn't commonly hear in regular life. Apple Jacks like pink peanut butter on Tuesday or something like that. Some stupid, crazy, weird shit. And as soon as you hear that, it triggers the MK Ultra programming and you go into a compartment and a different you comes out. And that you commits crime. That's what, Sirhan, the guy that supposedly shot Bobby Kennedy, he was very much associated with mind control, with the doctors and all that shit. And he says, I clearly did it. Obviously, look at the photos of me being there and whatnot. The only issue is I don't remember doing it. I remember being at home, the phone rang, and then suddenly I'm holding the body, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And you could see it in his face. He doesn't know. He doesn't look like he knows what's going on in those first pictures of good old Sirhan. But if you think about that idea that somebody says a word or a phrase or whatever, and then you commit crime, well, that's literally what's been done to black people. Black people have been tricked that they need to. It's their civic duty. It's the pride of their entire their people. The fact that we think that black people and white people are different communities, the black community, the white community. This is our racism, and we don't even realize we do it. Well, black unemployment is down. What the fuck how is black unemployment different than unemployment? This is that Trump bullshit that they do. But like, you know, to think that any random white person can more than likely get your average black person, especially one of these dumb young kids nowadays. Oh my God, these kids are so stupid. But all you'd have to do is be walking by them, and as you walk by them, go bump into them and go, nigger. And immediately that's going to be a fight. That black guy is going to commit a crime that now puts him in prison, puts him in jail, puts him in the system in some way. Because instead of being taught to ignore that shit, instead of being taught to think like, in our society, that is, going to that level is you scraping the bottom of the barrel, right? You've run out of every other option to try to hurt the person back for whatever they're saying to you that hurts you so much that you're going to be like, nigger. You're trying to get them back. That's how desperate you are. You say a word that's not acceptable in our society. And somebody's going to let you get that desperate and then respond as they're supposed to. They're supposed to get mad. They're supposed to commit that crime. Who do you think owns the prisons? Who do you think owns the hospitals, the doctors and whatnot that are going to treat the person for whatever you do to them? Where do you think all that shit? You think that's just accident? It's just an accident. Are its roots not based in colonization of African country, Nigeria? As soon as you start talking about that shit, Karen, you're going to lose me. Which is really crazy because I consider myself a history buff, right? Like I know lots of stuff about history. I've always been very fascinated by it. But at this point in my journey, I don't believe in slavery. I don't believe in the African slavery narrative. And you know what's even funnier about that? You know who's going to get the most mad at me for saying that? Black people. Black people will get the most mad at me if I say that they weren't slaves. That bullshit narrative never happened. It's just such crazy nonsense. And so when we start talking about, all that stuff, I just don't buy it. Go look at your average Civil War uniform. I'm supposed to believe that everyone was just like these little fucking frail, basically look like children uniforms. Everybody was the size of a teenager. Come on, it's all stupid. Yeah. So the J-owned slave ships, they packed the boats as tightly as they could with slaves that the Africans rounded up themselves and then sold them then they took the hurricane routes from Africa all the way up into the United States. They just figured that shit out really pretty quickly, actually. Going from discovering America to now we know the fucking slave route, the special routes to take. And these boats had to be running basically consistently to account for all the slaves that they say that they brought over. And now we're supposed to believe that they were just tightly packing all these slaves into these ships. And then these, what, month-long journeys? They're all stuck together and they're shitting all over it. Come on. By the time you get there, your product's going to die. Your product's going to be sick. It's not going to be a good enough product. It won't sell well. Why would you ever do such a dumb thing? And of course, they never talk about how the hurricanes affected that either. They took the hurricane routes, but you know how we get hit with 100 hurricanes every year? Not them. They were just going in between them. And then think about going on the way, but they went on the way back too. They had to go drop off the slaves and then go all the way back and then go drop off the slaves. Yep. That was just happening. They were just doing that back when we lived in mud huts. And well, when we get to that part of the story, that's when we actually start seeing more, Greco-Roman cities and all these other things. It's just bullshit. The whole narrative we're given about history is bullshit. Oh, I'm with you on the slave bit, but the Brits supposedly used it as a derogatory term whilst based in Africa. Again, at this point, it's just like, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Who cares? Who cares where it came from, anything? There's the notion that in Spanish, isn't it like negro is black or something like that? I don't know. I just know it's all stupid. I know letting somebody goad you into violence is stupid. When I'm a kid and people are like, oh yeah, well your mom's a slut. Your mom's a this. It's like, do you actually know my mom? How do you know my mom? Like, where have you guys had any sort of interactions? What proof do you have of your argument? Like, to think about the fact that Do the Right Thing told us that we should fight over your mama jokes. Because that's disrespectful. Don't be dissing me, son. Don't be disrespecting me. You accidentally stepped on my shoes. That's disrespectful. I should commit crimes and go to prisons and make the Jays even wealthier. Because, in the black community, going to prison is like stripes. It's like credentials. It's been programmed into the youth that going to prison is somehow some good thing. The Romans who spoke... believing in the Romans is just goofy anymore, man. I'm sorry, but it's just silly. Am I really supposed to believe that no power tool donkey people built aqueducts, built coliseums, built all these things that are still standing today despite the insane attempts to destroy them? The bombings and all the different things that were used to destroy these things still exist? And these were donkey people? These are people with no power tools, no communication networks. Just using carrier pigeons and shit, right? Indeed, there is no other choice for you to believe anything else. Yeah, but that's just it. There is a choice. I can just choose. I don't have to believe in something. I'm not that person that has to believe in any one particular thing. I believe that clearly something else is going on, and that's enough. I don't need any sort of bullshit explanation. Look at all the churches. Look at all the castles. Look at all the weird, all the shit we just don't even know. Lion Rock. You ever heard of Lion Rock? I mean, these things, and what Lion Rock is today is apparently... pales in comparison to what it used to be. It used to look like a fucking lion. The whole thing was sculpted. And there were people that never came off of there that lived on this isolated mountain thing. It's just crazy. Your Y-O-U-R, so smart. Y-O-U-R, so smart. God, I love when people are so much smarter than me that they say Y-O-U-R, so smart. Good thing you retracted that message, huh? Wouldn't want people to see just how smart you are, would you? What a fucking coward. Oh, what a coward. Well, it does cure my depression, 30 minutes. You have depression. You don't have depression. You know why I cure your depression? It's because you're not depressed. Most of us are not depressed. The J's that control the J doctors that want you to get your J prescriptions, to go to your J pharmacists, to get your J manufactured pills. It's not about you being depressed. You're not like, meh, meh, meh. You're pissed. You're not depressed, you're angry. And because you don't have any outlet, you don't have an outlet for any healthy outlets to express those angry feelings, especially when you're supposed to find the solution. You're supposed to, as society members, we're supposed to find what's wrong and fix it. And if you look into anything, you're going to find that it's the J's. The J's are what's wrong. They're who control everything and who manipulate everything. So then you go trying to tell people, hey, I've actually figured it out. I know how we can make our lives better. We have to overthrow these J's. And they're like, oh, no. Can't say that. And you're like, what are you talking about? You said to figure out the problem. Yeah, I know. You have to figure out the problem. Well, I did, and it's the J's. No. You can't say that. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, am I wrong? Or no. It's not that you're wrong. We just can't say that. Say something different. Have you tried the Bible and the devil and stuff? Oh, so if I say it's the devil, then yeah, that's good. The devil's good. Yeah. Oh, the devil and the fire and the pokey and yeah, the devil is the bad thing. So the Bible says the J's are, no. Bible, Satan, Bible. That's that. And so you're stuck in this weird place where you're like, I see what's wrong. Look, why are we giving Israel $3.8 billion a year to murder people? Why have we given them well over $18 billion in extra funding since October of 2023? Why do they get all these special groups and special this and special that and special words? And what's going on? Why do they keep getting caught violating children in Hollywood and we just keep turning a blind eye to it? Why am I not allowed to talk about this one group of people? I can talk about Christians, Muslims, Jesuits, Hindus, Buddhists, New World Orders and Illuminatis and, whatever kind of conspiracy theories you want to. I'm allowed to talk about all that stuff. But I can't talk about this one thing. Why not? And it makes you mad. You see all these things going on in the world where you just like, these piece of shit politicians keep getting all this extra pay and all this extra, good stuff. You see these Oprah situations. You see these obviously bullshit fires. You hear all the Diddy stuff. You see it all and you're fucking furious. Why the fuck do we live in this society? Why the fuck can any Tom, Dick, or Harry set up a fucking YouTube channel and hunt pedos and be successful immediately, and our system can't do it? What do you mean? No? Why does history have multiple people who invented cars that can run on water and we're still paying for fucking gas? What's going on here? Why don't we have solar roads so everybody has free energy? The solar road tech is old. It's an old tech that I would imagine by now would easily have been perfected by the best scientists in the world. But it was pretty much perfect and ready to go back when it was introduced. I don't think Diddy's innocent, but I think Diddy had evidence on everyone to show that he was just as guilty, or at least in the same league as the Jays he hosted the parties for. And all the footage and shit was destroyed in the fires. Diddy is just them getting you to focus on the black man. That's always a go-to. They've programmed us to be so racist as is that whenever they need a good distraction, it's either a gay something or it's a black guy or, you know. They just distract us. It's super easy to do. We're super stupid like that. But trust me, you're not depressed. And don't go thinking you need to take a bunch of drugs and shit. That shit's gonna fucking destroy you. Fusion of hydrogen is incredibly unstable, and the tech required to keep it stable is massively expensive and complicated. The giant, yeah. Says who, dude? How do you say that shit with such arrogance? You are not on that fucking level. You have no idea. They gave us stealth technology in 1989. I was a kid. I remember it very well. They introduced stealth technology, and it was these cool, new-shaped planes and blah. Oh my gosh, look at these. And it was like, oh, I guess that's about half of the UFO sightings we've had that they've denied and made people be crazy and ruin people's lives over because they saw them testing these things. They saw them flying these things. Turns out that they've had stealth technology since the 40s, at least the 40s, maybe even the 30s. Meaning, we're at least 50 years behind what they gave us. What they give us. At least 50 years. So to think you know anything about anything is just foolish. Why isn't, again, multiple people. In the 80s, some guy made a small, easily produced, really well, ran really well, fast engine that I think he put it on a dune buggy or some shit. He made that shit in his basement. This is in the 80s. If you don't think that by now, remember the cell phones in the 80s? Those big giant bags that people had to carry around? And it sounded like this all the time. And you could barely hear what you were saying. It's awful when it was you like, I got a cell phone, look how cool I am. You don't think the same society that made those cell phones into these cell phones couldn't have made the water power car that guy successfully made in the 80s, 90s into the everyday car of today? Come on, dude. Sometimes people are so smart that they don't realize that they're just regurgitators. They're not actually thinkers. You're not actually thinking about what's being said. You're just regurgitating some shit. Oh yeah, we can't do it. We can't do it. You have no fucking idea. None. And you're not letting logic take hold. Again, if some guy could build it in his fucking garage in the 80s, and that's just one, there's multiple other ones. then our system as a whole, especially if we work together with the Japanese, with the Russians, with whoever, we would have an amazing water-powered car by now, and I'm pretty sure they do. You know, they have all sorts of vehicles that run on water, no doubt about it. They have all sorts of vehicles we don't even fucking know. We don't know. And while people are distracted by drones, do people not realize, like, the whole drone distraction, even 10 years ago, would have been UFOs? Everybody would have been like, oh my God, it's UFOs. If you just step back and look at it and you go, oh, they've been using drones all this whole time. That's what all these UFO sightings are. There's interviews where ex-CIA agents are blow the whistle that all the UFO shit was just them putting out stuff to cover up what they were testing. To cover for the crazy shit they were doing. But again, it's like, we believe what we want to believe. I'm doing nothing but proving that right with reading the Bible. Because there's no fucking reason why any sane person reads the Bible and believes any of it true. You just have to be, you have to want to believe it. That's what faith is. Faith is wanting to believe in something absent any real reason to. And that's what it is in most cases. Most of the shit you believe is because you were given, multiple different narratives, whatever life narratives have thrown at you, earth shape, religion, whatever, politics, whatever. And you've decided which one of those things fits in with how the way you want to see the world, or you want to see things. If you want to be a racist piece of shit, of course you're going to vote for Trump. Especially given the choices. Let's see, I'm a homophobic, racist, sexist, piece of shit white guy. Am I going to vote for the brown female? Never. Am I going to vote for the white guy who has a very questionable, very, racist history? Of course I am. That's how that works. But people want to pretend like, that's not racism. It's the borders. The borders were so unsafe. The Mexicans are just if you look at who you've experienced the most crime from in your lifetime, whether it's just being beaten up or it's having shit stuff, it's white people. You know why? Because white people make up 69% of the United States population. Only 55% if you take out those with Hispanic in their backgrounds who consider themselves white. Because white people are even racist amongst white people. It's not because white people are inherently criminals and blah, blah. No. It's because white people make up the vast majority of the population. The car accidents, it's white people. And people just don't realize that, right? People just, they love saying, so you'll see people be like, oh yeah? Well, black people, when black people cry that they're experiencing more police violence than anyone else, they're not. Black people only killed or arrested 33% of the time. You know? White people are arrested some 57% of the time. White people are arrested way more than black people. Well, if 69% of the population is arrested 57% of the time, or 67% of the time, that kind of makes sense. However, when 13% of the population is arrested 33% of the time, that's a completely, that's a huge disparity there. But it's all in how you choose to see it. Especially when that 13%, we're really only talking about young black men and women, but mainly young black men. So that's more like 4% of the time, or 4% of the people being arrested 33% of the time. That's huge. That's a huge difference. You know, it's not the Mexicans that are breaking in the houses. It's never. When you look at the mass shooters, 90% of the time, the mass shooter is some white dude, some Christian white dude. Imagine if it would have been a Mexican that missed. That missed, and there's no cell phone video. Again, when it comes to things, you got to look at smoking guns. And to me, the biggest smoking gun when it comes to the Trump shooting is, where the fuck are all the cell phone videos and live feeds? There should be videos from every angle of that shooting. They should be doing NCIS reconstructions because everybody was there taking pictures and filming, that they could make a 3D model of it. They could do that in the early 2000s, according to NCIS and shit. Why don't they do that? Like, it's amazing to me that they've gotten so many people to support Trump. But as a person of color, I guess it's not that shocking. People of color constantly talking about how racist America is, and then white people always denying it. But how else do you explain Trump? I mean, he's this just lying piece of shit who was impeached, and the whole thing was fake to begin with. I remember they were doing the impeachment, and there was the two charges. One was obstruction of justice, and one was something that had to do with the phone call. And I remember thinking, why do they keep focusing on the phone call when that's apparently hard to get? Because instead they could just do the obstruction of justice. And Trump's done nothing but obstruct justice, but mainly the fact that there was no transcripts ever released of the phone call. It was always the summary of the transcripts. Well, why aren't the actual transcripts of the phone call being released? Why isn't anyone calling for the actual transcripts of the phone call? Why aren't we just going with the obstruction of justice charge, because that's super easy and everything could just be done with? Yeah, he's impeached. He obstructed justice. Because it's all bullshit. And if you fall for the Republican versus Democrat bullshit nonsense, it's all you're like the Ultimate Warrior is gonna beat Hulk Hogan, I swear. It's all just WWE bullshit, man. And you have to look at it for what it really is. I would have so much more respect for white people if they would just be like, yeah, Trump's racist and I'm racist, so that's how it works. Just be the racist you are. That way I don't have to waste any time on you. You can just be the racist and I can be like, yeah, I don't need to, nope, that's good. Instead of this fake, smile in my face bullshit, go vote for Trump behind my back kind of shit. You're a racist. That's all it is. Be the racist that you are. So, like, it's totally okay. Just be the racist that you are. You know? Talk that big shit like you talk behind closed doors. See, being me, I've gotten to experience that more often than people think. Because dumb people will see me, and obviously I'm not white, but they don't know what I am, but they'll tell themselves that I must not be black. So they act like they would when they don't think black people are around. And just like how when Chinese people aren't around, white people will say all kinds of horrible shit, make their eyes and ting tong ting, all that kind of shit. They do the same thing when black people aren't around. If your white friend is horribly racist towards Arabs, towards Chinese people, to Asians, whatever, but seemingly cool whenever black shit comes up, it's because you're there. If you're not there, white people, like, they sit around and talk all kinds of crazy shit. They like telling stupid jokes. Like, white people are pretty fucked up. That doesn't mean all white people are pretty fucked up, but white people are pretty fucked up. You know, the only reason anything happens, the only reason there's racism, the only reason there's, you know, all the phobia, the trans, gay, it's because of white people. If we want something to stop, white people have to stop it. 69% of the population makes the majority of the surface decisions. Obviously, the Jays control the reality. But still, you know, if white people want racism to stop, it'll stop. People of color can't be racist. People of color can be fucking prejudiced as a motherfucker, no doubt. People of color can be super prejudiced. But racist is when you decide how much money goes into a community, where the schools are, where the grocery stores, how, you know, all that kind of shit. Racism is a higher level thing that people of color just don't get to do. But you want to get rid of prejudice? You want to get rid of all that prejudice that white people feel and they're just so offended by? Every time they feel prejudice from someone, they're like, what the fuck? I'm not like that. So why are they treating me like that? Maybe it's because most white people are, and you have to earn their trust. They're not just going to give it to you because you're white and you think you deserve it. But like, you see, it's so ridiculous, man. And you could get rid of it. We could easily get rid of all the prejudice if white people just stop being so racist. White racism is the cause of all the other prejudice. And again, for you to be like, oh, I'm not racist. Why would you treat me like that? Because better safe than sorry, asshole. Plus, I think most people, like a lot of white people don't realize they're racist. You know? Oh, can I touch your hair? Oh, hey, what's up, brother? And they try to do some stupid handshake. They don't do that with their white friends. Thinking you need to act differently because you're around black people means you have racist bullshit inside you. You just don't realize it. Just be yourself. If black people don't like you, or if those black people don't like you, who cares? Why would anyone care? I just never understand why people care if people like them or not. If I would have to change who I am or put on some sort of show for you to like me, why would I want to do that? There are so many people on this planet. I don't need this specific person or that specific person to like me. And for you to let any of those stupid asses like that affect you is just insane. Like, it's It's so funny to me how important I am to people like this dumbass Chainsaw. Your intelligence has the government recruiting you soon. Yeah. You make sense. At least you got the right your this time, huh, smarty pants? Like, to think that guy thinks he's making... This guy has been here for hours. I'm supposed to feel bad because this guy has been watching me, talking, trying to get my attention for hours. Come on. How does anybody get offended by that? Watch the Island Boys on their YouTube feeds or whatever, getting in arguments with other people and talking shit to the comments, and it's just a joke. I mean, I guess when people keep bringing up you kissing your brother, that is kind of gross. What about that guy, Why Easily or something like that? Why Easy? And he'll be talking and then he'll just be like, da 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 da. I got that da 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 da. Like, that dude got tattoos on his face and shit. Look at these clowns that are being paraded to our youth nowadays. It doesn't matter what anybody says about the Island Boys. They're well known and they're rich as fuck. How is Tekashi 6ix9ine still so fucking... How is he even alive? But how the fuck... I remember it had to be like 2017 or something like that. And I was at the gas station and I looked over and I saw the Source magazine was sitting there. And it was like best up and coming rappers or whatever. And it was this picture and it had like 15 or so of the next generation of rappers. They're all sitting there striking their poses, doing all their stupid shit, right? And right in the middle of the page was Tekashi 6ix9ine with his fucking rainbow hair and shit. And it stuck out, of course, because A, your eyes are drawn to the middle of the page, but B, this is a goofus with rainbow hair in the middle of a bunch of street thug niggas, you know. just clowns, all clearly homosexual clowns pretending to be something they're not. But I just thought, man, that guy must be really good. Because if, you know, for you to have rainbow hair and be not the black guy and still be, he must have some real good flow or something. I just thought, just that one picture told me that, like, for you to be such a clown, you must have a good flow. And then I remember not too long later, hearing Tekashi 6ix9ine had like 6 #1 songs or something like that. Like some crazy fucking shit. And I just thought, okay, let me go see what all the hype is about. I finally caved in and went to go see. And I think the song is Gummo, I believe. And I was just shocked. I was like, this is horrible. Like, this isn't even catchy. Like, my lifestyle, dip, my lifestyle. That song is terrible, but at least it's catchy. 6ix9ine is just awful. Blicky with the sticky. Got my cousin Ricky. We're going to go get some licky from 14-year-olds. He didn't say that last part, but he did it. And you just think, like, any of these things, any of these guys, none of them can claim any sort of mistakes or anything like that. I don't care. You can't say you thought she was older or none of that shit. If you're famous, you literally have just bitches, gorgeous 10 bitches constantly trying to throw themselves at you. That you would happen to pick the young one is just astronomically not possible. You know? you're going to pick the sexy older one if that's, you're not going to fall for the 14-year-old who says she's 18 because you're not going to want 18-year-olds. Why would you want an 18-year-old when you could have like a fucking badass 26-year-old, 24-year-old, something like that? Especially when you're in that age range. They don't all have kids. But 6ix9ine is just, and the thing is, so I'm watching like this video of him sitting on the stoop with a bunch of street niggles. Everybody's in red and they got their rags on and shit. And he doesn't even know the words to his own song. If they're doing the clip where he's like, and they do like that 10-second, not even, that 4-second clip, then of course he knows the words. But whenever they're doing like the longer shoots, he'll be putting his head down. He consistently, you can tell he's fucking up the words if you pay attention, if you look closely. Dude, you have millions of dollars, millions of, I would imagine thousands and thousands of dollars go into the shoot. Millions of views, millions of dollars to be made, and you don't even know the words to your own fucking song? Just think about how fucking crazy that is. And he's just, again, it's not like he's saying anything clever, deep. He's just yelling a bunch of dumb shit. And this motherfucker tattooed 6ix9ine all over his shit. Like, oh my God. And then you get the Island Boys, That Island Boy shit, I guess it was fucking a little catchy, Because I'm an island boy. Stupid shit. But as soon as you see those guys, how do you go, yeah, with their Sideshow Bob haircuts? And they're just, the tattoos all over the face thing is so goddamn ridiculous. You're not going to be able to get a good job. Those guys are bought and paid for rappers who have done things that you would never want to do. Don't emulate them. They're horrible. They've done horrible, horrible things. But even then, just think about how manufactured that has to be. When the Island Boys first just sort of appear on the scene, who paid for all that ink? That ink isn't free. Ink is expensive. Tattoos are expensive. How the fuck did they get all, covered head to toe? How did they pay for all that ink? How did they sit in those chairs for all that time? And, you have to give them, they must be pretty fucking tough to be able to sit through all that shit. A lot of those tattoos are in really painful spots. Unless, of course, they were induced, had a coma-induced situation where they were put into a drug-induced coma and manufactured to be that way. So much attention always on asses. Why do you think they want us to focus on the ass so much? They have it. They've programmed the goyim so well that black women and fat white women too, when they're getting their picture taken, now turn and pose like that, so their ass is showing in the picture. Can you imagine your ass is the thing that you're like, this is the thing I'm most proud of. This is the best thing about me, is where the poop comes out. It is my waste disposal system. That shit is nuts. That, and again, the rap industry has been telling us to focus on asses, that running trains on girls with your buddies is a good thing, that a hot chick is a girl with a big butt and no boobs. Up top, 2 bee stings. Basically little boys. No wonder they were allowed to achieve success. When was the last song what's the last song that you can think of that glorified women's tits? As far as like objectifying women goes and, making them into body parts. You're a role model. While you are a role model. Think about that. When was the last time you heard that song? It's all about asses. Why are asses so important? Guys like Benzino. What a goddamn clown. It's so embarrassing. Having lived through it, I remember it being goofy as a kid. And then, like in the 2000s, I'm coming up on my 20. Well, I am 21. I'm in my early 20s. And you're seeing guys like Jules Santana, He's got a fucking do-rag on, a bandana on, a hat on. He's got all this jewelry on. His clothes are like this big giant dress. His t-shirt's this big giant dress. Rap has done nothing but promote the most ignorant, idiotic, just embarrassing elements of our society. It's the worst. And it sucks because I like rap music, But when you really look back, and just look at the whole foundations of it. There's the pre-NWA and then the post-NWA rap scene. And the pre-NWA rap scene is absolutely manufactured. The first rap song is the Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. And that's literally a boy band. It's somebody saw some dudes rapping on a fucking stoop. Hey, can you do this? You know anybody else that can do this? And they just put together a little boy band. They stole the beat. And then they rap about fucking macaroni and cheese and fried chicken and shit like they're supposed to. Bunch of gibberish. And then you get shit like Grandmaster Flash. Clearly a gay guy. Fab Five Freddy. Clearly, these guys are clearly gay guys. Go rewatch. What is it? Grandmaster Flash. What's it called? Don't Push Me, cause I'm that song. What's that fucking called? I can't remember what it's called. The Message. That's it. The Message. Go watch that video. You tell me that's not a gay guy. That's a badass thug. Grew up in the streets. Streets raised him. He got his scrimp from them streets. Go tell me how that works. The white guy does it the best. Eminem is so much better than anyone else by far. Royce da 5'9" is really good too, but the shit Eminem does and says is so far above Like anyone, and it's stuff that you don't even pick up until the 50th time hearing it. You know, Eminem is so much different. But again, we're talking about what was given to us. So people forget that, like, prior to rap music, basically, the Jays made sure that white music and black music was very, very separate. MTV didn't play black people. The Jay manager of Michael Jackson threatened to pull his Michael Jackson videos, or pull all of his other artists' videos off of MTV and expose what was going on if they didn't play Michael Jackson's videos. Which turned out to be the best fucking move they could have made, because they just made $1 gazillion after they were doing that. Like, share, sub. Don't forget to like, share, and sub. But see, again, this is something that, like, it's hard to even talk about without going all the way back to the beginning. And what the fuck do I care? I got nothing going on. This is what Hollywoodism is all about. Go watch Hollywoodism. Because Hollywoodism, it's like there's two narratives. There's the pre-Jay takeover version of Hollywood, and then the post-Jay takeover of Hollywood. And basically it's really weird. Because, you know, the silent films of the day, the Edison films and shit like that, it just wasn't what you think it was. And so, somewhere in the, like, late teens, early 20s, the Jays just decide they're going to really go full force on Hollywood and take this to the fullest. And so these six families, 6 men, all born within 500 miles of each other in Europe, all immigrate to the United States, and all individually, all at the same time, and all individually without knowing each other, move to Hollywood and basically create the entire narrative that is Hollywood. Can create the empire. And if you watch Hollywoodism, there's this great scene where, you know, because they always love to compare their plight to the plight of black people, and they love to make it seem like Jays have experienced, they're the most persecuted people of all time. And they experience it worse than black people. And one of the examples that's given is this Jay is talking about, like, look at how Edison and them used to portray, you know, the minorities. Like with the black people, and he shows this one video, and it's 3 black guys, and they're drunk, and they're hillbilly bumpkins, and they get into a fight, and they're shooting dice or some shit. And he's like, look at how the blacks are portrayed as gamblers and degenerates and fighting. And then look at how the Jays were depicted. And it shows now this time the Jays are maybe drinking or whatever. They're outside. I think the one guy is actually maybe selling something to another person shady. And the cop busts him. And instead of going to jail, the Jay whips out a wad of cash and pays the cop off. And he's like, see how bad it is? They always depict us as having all this money and all this power. It's so embarrassing how stupid it is. But in the 30s, something called the production codes was passed down from East Coast Hollywood. East Coast Hollywood is the government, is news, is some forms of entertainment. And then West Coast Hollywood is the real big entertainment. And so when we went with Prohibition, people love to think the Italian gangsters controlled the alcohol distribution. But they didn't. The reason you think the alcohol distribution was by the Italian mobsters is because of the Jays in Hollywood. The Jays in Hollywood accidentally created a real, like, icon in the Italian mobster, because they made the Italian mobster seem like they were these Robin Hood figures. stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And it's, again, the government, Jays, in East Coast Hollywood went into the Italian neighborhoods and said, we're going to let you be these gangsters. We're going to let you sort of police things on your own accord. Just keep everything out of the J neighborhoods. Keep it in the black neighborhoods, and everything will be fine. We'll protect you. You'll get all your police protection and your government protection and all that. Because no mafia exists without police and government protection. And if you think the mafia has gone, you're stupid. But the alcohol distribution during Prohibition was actually done by the Jays, by a group called the Purple Gang. And they were known to be the most ruthless. They would kill on, at the drop of a dime. Because again, these are the people that grew up thinking that they're superior and that we're all just goyim anyway. So what do they care about killing us? And so the Purple Gang, the alcohol would come in through Canada into Detroit, and then it would be dispersed throughout the country. And guys like Al Capone and shit wouldn't even, because the Purple Gang were known to just shoot first, ask questions later. And they needed to cover that up. They needed to cover up the idea of J gangsters. People don't think about that, a J mafia, J gangsters. That's just conspiracy theory. No, it's real. Fucking real. Real. But they accidentally made the Italian gangster an icon. And so what East Coast Hollywood did was create something called the production codes. And the production codes were this list of rules, one of which saying that no gays were allowed to be used in Hollywood. So that's where the term beard comes from, because all the Jays in Hollywood, see, people don't understand that Hollywood, to this day, to some degree, but especially back in the day, it used to be like a sports team. The Jays owned all the companies, the production companies, the teams, and then the actors were players signed to each team. And if one production company wanted to use an actor, that belonged to a different company, they would have to pay and negotiate and make a trade and all that shit. It was very much, controlled like a sports team. And so when they put out this law about the gays, because even back then, the people that wanted to go to Hollywood and put on makeup and pretend to be other people, were gay. A lot of gay people did that. They started marrying together the gay guys and the gay chicks, and that's where the term beard comes from. It was from early Hollywood and the production codes. They also said that the police always had to be the good guys, and that the gangsters were never allowed to win anymore. The police always had to come out on top. And they had a bunch of other shit. This is also the beginning of Shirley Temple's career. Baby Burlesque is her first movie. I wouldn't show Baby Burlesque on here. I wouldn't send Baby Burlesque to anyone out of fear of sending child exploitation materials. Because it's only dumb, disgusting Jays that think it'd be funny to have children in adult situations pretending to be adults, especially a little girl pretending to be a burlesque dancer, seducing and dealing with a standard, stuffy top hat. One of those. I mean, I don't suggest you go watch Baby Burlesque, but 4-year-old Shirley Temple is it's a testament to what an incredible actress she was, because it's fucking disgusting. But this is when, all these pedo shows, these Little Rascals, and just all this shit started really taking place. And again, go watch Hollywoodism. Because if I say all these things, if I made Hollywoodism today, and I used people of color and non-Jays as all the actors, we said all the exact same things except for, instead of saying we, I would say they, I would get accused of anti-Semitism and all this other bullshit. But yet they made Hollywoodism. And they say all these things about how they absolutely controlled Hollywood, Iron Fist, you know, they were assholes, they were weirdos, they only hired their own kind. Like, it's all in the movie. Go watch it. And so the production codes come out and they change a bunch of shit, but now we get all these disgusting shows about little kids. Like, I'm a 40-something, 46-year-old guy. I don't want to watch shows about kids. The fuck do I want to watch shows about kids for? But that's what they wanted to see. I would never want to see Baby Burlesque. And Baby Burlesque there was a bunch of those made. Little Rascals, all these shows about orphans and shit were big. And then the next big sort of change is the whole hippie thing. So by the time Vietnam was coming around, we had already done World War I and World War II. And all the people that had grown up in these incredibly abusive houses with these insane soldiers that came back from war, you know, because back then you were supposed to find out you were going to go to war, find some dumb young girl and get her pregnant. She's supposed to wait for you. And then when you come back, everything's going to be just fine in white picket fences and shit. And so for years, you'd have all these girls that were just single mothers raising their kids. And it was pretty happy, actually. And then these monsters would come home from war and they'd be abusive and alcoholics and, you know, all these things that weren't talked about back then. And so all these kids grew up with all these fathers and grandfathers who were psychotic from World War I and II. And they were absolutely opposed to the war. And so the J narrative, the J creators decided they needed to figure out something. Because it was the intellectual side that was opposed to the war. And they needed to switch that. So they sat around and, Irving, what do you think? What did you come up with? Okay, well, you know, what do we not want? Well, we want guys with short hair. And so we want a guy with long hair. We don't like colors. We don't like beards. We don't like fun and sex and drugs. And they basically created the hippie. And they used their own kids. There's something called the Laurel Canyon Conspiracy. Take some time to look into it. Laurel Canyon, where Jared Leto lives, I believe. But it's basically a community north of Hollywood that was completely military. And they had all of the capabilities of Hollywood, and in some cases even better capabilities, in this sort of secret Hollywood studio area in Laurel Canyon. And people don't ask, like, how did all these garage bands whose parents happen to be, you know, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Crosby is from the Crosby lineage, the old Mayflower Crosby lineage. Stills and Nash, both of their dads worked for government mind control bullshit. Jim Morrison's dad was the admiral on the ship that the ship used in the Gulf of Tonkin false flag. He was the guy in charge, the admiral. You know, a lot of these famous rock stars, their children or their parents were high-ranking military men. And the you know, nobody asked, like, how did they get these massive record contracts? What do you want, Jessica?
Coming to help bring your shit in.
Don't you talk to me. I don't know you. I got it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Well, you grab both.
No, it's fine. You don't want the dog jumping up on you and shit.
Oh, wait.
Besides, I don't need you stinking up my house. She's not here. I don't know where she is.
I said I come to see your wife.
I don't know where she is.
Where's, oh, I know.
She must be across the street.
Yeah. Alright.
Bye, Jessica. Get out of there, dummy. Get out of there. Get out of there. You know, you never ask yourself, like, get out of here. Get. These guys weren't getting in vans, driving across the country, building up followings, and then, you know, being discovered. No, these J record company executives, Ahmed, what's his name at Atlantic, they were just handing out these record contracts to these anti-government protest bands and shit like that. Really? That's how that works? You just get the record contract, huh? That's fucking brilliant. That must be nice. So they created a situation where it was basically you're either pro-war and a good bill-paying conservative, or you're one of these dirty hippies that opposes the war. So they managed to trick the American public into supporting the war that we weren't in support of even a little bit. You know, we wanted nothing to do with anything that had to do with war. Yet they using the Gulf of Tonkin, using the hippie, they tricked us into war. And then they fucked up again. They accidentally gave all those people too much power. Too much power went into, these hippies, these band mates, these band members. And through the music, they realized, like, holy shit, revolutionary shit can happen through music. We need to curb this. And so they started killing off the mainstreams, the mainstays. They started killing off like, imagine if Jimi Hendrix wouldn't have been drowned in alcohol, because he was drowned. He had shit in his lungs. He didn't aspirate. He had it. Somebody held him down and poured it down his throat. Janis Joplin. Imagine what those icons, what they would have done if they would have been still living. Especially Jimmy, though. With all of with everything, the way that the civil rights and everything, Jimi Hendrix would have been a very, very prominent leader in the civil rights movement. And Jimi Hendrix, what really made him dangerous was Jimmy was just as big with white people, bigger with white people than he was with black people. So that was terrifying. Oh shit, extra sharp Tillamook white cheddar. Oh, I'm gonna have me some cheese and crackers today. Boy, oh howdy. She got her broccolini. She was saying she wanted to get some broccolini the other day. So they end up giving us disco and cocaine. They brought cocaine into the picture because marijuana and LSD was unifying. That unified us, and that wasn't any good. So they had to really poison us and bring in the toxic cocaine and the and essentially the methamphetamines, and crack was created. Crack is super high level chemistry. Crack isn't something that some dum-dums just happen to figure out because they had too much cocaine lying around. Crack is high level chemistry. Ooh, I want this. Eat that today. And so, you know, the idea that crack just hits the streets is utter bullshit. It was put on the streets to do what it did. And so they use the music again. Now it's all a bunch of idiots, you know, drink and do coke and smash up hotel rooms, do a bunch of crime, right? That's what it means to be a rock star, is to commit crime. Create chaos. And so once, you know, they were realizing that it didn't matter, we were unified, we were starting to go down that unified path. White people really liked funk. White people really liked, you know, black music like they weren't supposed to. This suddenly opened the door, right? This made it so that they had an opportunity to really poison us. So they came up with the ultimate boy band, which is NWO, Niggas with Attitude. And they gave them carte blanche. Here, we're going to put you we're going to put you on MTV after school one day. And you know, we're going to show you riding around LA with AK-47s. Because you're tougher than tough. You're the badass. And we want you to appeal to everyone. And so rap music went from being this voice of the streets, voice of the people, telling people what's really going on and have a good time, you know, party at the same time, to niggas shoot, niggas kill niggas, bitches hoes, do drugs, everything wrong. They literally have the population nodding their head yes to the worst shit imaginable. Yeah, even saying it. Yeah, what's up? Niggas kill, niggas shoot, niggas, drugs, niggas. Yeah, niggas. That's what they have you doing psychologically, nodding yes to the worst things ever. Well, shortly thereafter, they went, you know, they took rock music from, you know, get drunk, bang chicks, do coke, maybe smash up a hotel room, to shoot heroin and want to kill yourself because life sucks and everyone, I want to die, life sucks, I'm depressed, I want to shoot heroin and die. And then, you know, it's just gone from there, where it's been just easier and easier to manipulate. We just idolize these celebrities, which again, they did that. You know, they needed to figure out a way to make us give a shit about the stars in between their movies. So they created the idea of celebrity. And they knew it, right? They knew that, like, this is how this works. And they can get in front of things. You know, instead of letting the conspiracy expose you, expose the conspiracy at the same time you expose 5 or 6 other things, and it won't matter because people will be so deluded, so distracted by, you know, all the different things that it just, you know, it won't matter. That's how they've gotten us. That's just the music side of things. Literally, Hollywoodism is the blueprint for what they did. There was a meeting in the 90s to accomplish this, and it worked. Right. Bone Thugs and Harmony guy. What is it? Crazy? Crazy said so. That they had to fill up the prisons. And it's fucking there. Even if it's not, even if, let's just say he's not telling the truth. I mean, you know, the thing is, every single, like, conspiracy about Hollywood and the entertainment industry is already out there. We all know all this shit. We all know it, and we don't do anything about it. Right? We all, like everybody knows about the whole poor young black guy gets brought to the meeting, the you know, we're going to sign you, this, that, in the meeting, and they, instead of signing you the first day and signing the papers, they take you out, they party, you wake up in the hotel room. What the fuck happened last night? You run over to the you know, the music industry. Everybody's surprisingly shitty to you today. They were all loving you yesterday. They pass you a contract that says, you know, you get 1 cent for every $10 sold, and you're on, you know, they own your likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe forever and ever, and you know, and you're like, what the fuck? I don't want to sign this. And they're like, oh yeah, and they click play, and now you're suddenly watching this video of you banging a kid, or fucking some passed out broad, or, you know, something horrible that you don't remember because you were drugged the night before. And it's fucking scary, man. But we all know that's how it works. We all know that the Jays in Hollywood have been taking advantage and abusing young black men, especially, forever. You know, having them sign, taking advantage of the fact they can't read. They don't have representation, so they sign these horrible, horrible lifelong contracts. It's not like all these artists stop being creative. They're just not allowed to make music anymore after, you know, after whatever. But I think that's about it. Go watch Hollywoodism. The link will be in the description. This was just supposed to be a Bible thing, but we went a little farther. Tomorrow, we'll go a little farther in the Bible. What did we get to? Genesis 12 today, so Genesis 13 tomorrow. Yep, Genesis 13 tomorrow. Everyone have a great day, and pedophiles, kill yourself.